So, ఈరోజు చూసారా పేపర్? అంత టైం లేదా? అంత టైం లేదు. No problem. So, the important thing, last, it will come from the last. So, it will come from here. The Sinhalese migrated from the southern India mixed with the Adivasis. So, especially with the Indian geography, we have a very special and close connection with the So we have a Sri Lanka here. So what you guys know about the Sri Lanka? So it's very close to India and it is a pearl of Indian Ocean. It has a name, Pearl of Indian Ocean. So that articles which tells that the originals. So it has conducted research about two types of Sri Lankans. One are the coastal Sri Lankan tribes and the central Sri Lankan tribes. So they have conducted the research and they understood that they have the origin from the India. So that is well known, but the language they speak. What is the language of Sri Lankans? Sinhalese. The Sinhalese language belongs to the Indo-European family. So the Indo-European family means, what is the example of Indo-European language? Sanskrit is the best example of Indo-European language. Even though that belongs to the southern South Indians, but the language they speak was Sinhalese. So these news doesn't regard any major information, but the important thing was we can just give a broad view of the India and Sri Lanka relations. So India, it's చాలా important even for the international relations also. We have colors. So when did the Indian-Sri Lankan relations started? So when Ravana came and took the Sita, that is the first reference, right? What we heard, the Ramayana. So the Ramayana is the first reference of India-Sri Lanka relations. So it is called as a Lanka. Lanka means the island. And later, when it comes to the proper history, it has the references of Ashoka sending his daughter and son. So you finished the history classes? Not yet, right? Only polity. Okay. So the Ashoka or Ashoka the Great, he sent his daughter Sangamitra and Mahindra. So he is one of the person who, because of now the world in many countries, the Buddhism was quite popular. Why? Because one of the reason is Ashoka. Ashoka sent his missionaries to spread the Buddhism. So that's how the Buddhism entered into Sri Lanka. So now what is the highest religion? Like the people who follows which religion is the highest religion in the Sri Lanka? Buddhism. Second, Jainism. Hindu. Second religion is the Hindu religion. And the third is the Islam. And later, next is the Christianity. So this is the initial origins of Indo-Sri Lankan relations. And next reference will directly goes to the Cholas. The Cholas, the Rajendra Chola. So, yeah, that time the Sri Lanka used to call the name Tamralipti. Sorry, not Tamrabarani. Sorry, Tamrabarani. Yeah. So Tamralipti is different, Tamrabarani is different. So this is the initial introduction of the basic connections of India Sri Lanka connections, how it happened. In the later stages, when the British came and colonized India, they also colonized Sri Lanka for the same reason, spices. Yeah, for the same reason, spices. So after that, when they got the like we got the freedom, they also got the freedom. In the Sri Lanka got the freedom around 1948. So until here everything was cool. From here, all the hot situations going to start. Yeah. What is the demography? So if you think this is it looks like more like brinjal, but still it's a Sri Lankan map. It's okay. But just think that for a moment, just think it is a Sri Lanka. So usually the northern part of the Sri Lanka. The northern part of the Sri Lanka was populated by the Tamilians. And in Tamilians also there are two types of Tamilians. Sri Lankan Tamilians also there, Indian Tamilians also there. So the Sri Lankan Tamilians, they went to Sri Lanka around 1000 years back, during the time of the Chola invasions and Chola occupations, Tamil invasions. So these Sri Lankan Tamilians went to Sri Lanka and settled 1000 years back. But these Indian Tamilians, they were around 11%. And they are around 4%. These Indian Tamilians are around 4%. So they settled during the time of Britishers. When the Britishers started to colonize, and the Sri Lanka is famous for what? Which crop? At present, if you see the one of its chief exports, the tea. Tea is very famous. The Sri Lankan tea. So the tea plantation is very much idle. So the climate there is very much idle for the tea plantation in the Sri Lanka. So to work in the tea, tea farms or tea fields, so Britishers used to take Tamilians to Sri Lanka and they got settled there. So 1948, they got the independence. Now the real problem started. The first president, the Bandaranaike, the first president of Sri Lanka, so he announced that Sinhalese is the official language. Sinhalese is the official language. And around 15% of the time, like you can see, like almost like 15% are Tamilians. Obviously they got, so they are not happy with this kind of decision. So they started some riot or the protest against the Sri Lankan government. So what happened? Some clashes erupted. So both each other they fought and some people died. LTTE will come little later. So it is around 1958. So we have, talking about the incidents, you can see the chronology. So 1948 they got the independence, 1958 they got the protests, and from there onwards, from that time onwards, there is continuous problems used to happen between the Tamilians, the local, that means the Tamilians in the Sri Lanka to the main scale Sinhalese. Always the continuous protests and problems continues used to happen. In 1917, what is the important incident happened with the India? 1971. That is 1962. 1971, what is the important incident related to Indian history? Huh? Indo-Bangladesh war or Indo-Pak war? So you know, right? So in 1947, India divided into Pakistan and India. One is East Pakistan, one is West Pakistan. So West and the East Pakistan. So only the reason they divided like this was based on religion, but the customs and the cultures are not the same. They were very much different. So they have the more good close relation with the Bengalis because they are the ones who couldn't even speak Urdu. Usually Islam they speak Urdu and also they write the language, but they are unable to speak the Urdu even today. So they don't read Urdu, they only read Bengali. But it's not like in India. We Muslims also read Urdu, right? But they only concentrate on Bengali. So they were not happy. They were not happy. So there is in 1970 there is an election. In that election, so the candidate from the East Pakistan named Mujibur Rahman. This Mujibur Rahman got the majority of seats when combined both West and East. Now, as per the constitution, he should be the prime minister. It's not easy. The Western Pakistan people, they are unable to accept him as their prime minister, and they started the persecution. So they sent their military. The military was stationed here, and they started to persecute the people in East Pakistan. Killings, rapes, murders. So most of things used to happen. So as a result, India also have seen this one, and it is supported, and it formed one force called Mukti Bahani. Mukti Bahani means the Friends of Bengals. So they started one force. And what is the external spy agency of India? RAW. So maybe, yeah. So India has supported the Mukti Bahani or the force or the Friends of Bangladesh in Bengal. And these people, they trained, they have given the arms and they started to fight it. But when even this force which is supported by India was unable to control the Pakistani military because the Pakistani military is highly equipped. So a small militia cannot control the. So now India started to actively involving in the war, and Pakistan is seeing it as a direct threat to India. So it launched the the attack, like how the Operation Sindoor. So India launched the attack on Pakistani airfields. So similarly, the Pakistan launched the 1971 war by itself, but after the attacks on the Indian airfields. So now India and Pakistan are directly in the war. So here India have the three important naval commands. What are the three important naval commands? The Vizag, the Eastern Naval Command, headquartered at Visakhapatnam, and they have the one aircraft carrier, INS Vikram. So it is very important in playing the the naval blockade around the Pakistan. So these played very important major role in playing the naval blockade around what is meant by naval blockade. So it is not allowing any imports and exports, and they completely cut the connectivity to the outside world. So this becoming very crucial, and this became very potent weapon for India. So now Pakistan thought we should destroy this warship. So if we destroy this warship, there is a high chance for India to get back from the war. So it has sent one submarine. Yeah, PNS Ghazi. So why I am telling all this one was, this is, so they cannot go directly here, right? They have to go and they have to circumference they have to cross They cannot even go to the Pak Strait. So they have to come here and they have to reach the Vizag or the Bangladesh. They can't even go here also. So what did the Sri Lanka, what it has done was, it has given its port for refueling that Pakistani submarine. So it angered the Indian authorities, especially that time, who is the Prime Minister? Indira Gandhi. So now she decided that it is the time to teach a lesson for Sri Lanka. So she opened a fault line called LTTE. So LTTE is there, but she's supported with the RAW. So the RAW gave all the training, equipment, weapons, all the things, and they have taken some people and they trained in the Tamil Nadu, and they have sent back. And the LTTE leader, Velupalli Prabhakaran, he also got the trained by RAW in the Tamil Nadu. So now the LTTE is fighting very actively with the Sri Lankan military. Now the Sri Lankan Prime Minister, finally he came to his knees and asked the Indian government to stop supporting the LTTE. And then Indian government has kept some conditions. Then the India-Sri Lankan Accord got signed. This is very important. The India-Sri Lankan Accord got signed. As per that accord, so why these LTTE are fighting? Because they want an independent country in the Sri Lanka. The northern part is called the Jaffna. So these Sri Lankan people, they want an independent country for themselves because they don't want to get discriminated by the local Sinhalese. So these LTTE, the main objective is to form a independent kingdom. As we see, so he is the Velupalli Prabhakaran and he is the founder of LTTE. And this suicide bombing, which is very closely associated with the Al Qaeda or Islamic, like the terrorists, they are the inventors of this suicide bombing. So, suicide bombings, yeah, cyanide capsules, suicide bombings, the proper modern warfare, especially the military warfare. So they are the origins. They have their own navy, own air force, and these black commanders, they are the suicide bombers, official suicide bombers. So by hook or crook, they want to achieve this Tamil Elam dream. So like that, these course of events are happening, and Indo-Sri Lanka Accord was signed. Indo-Sri Lanka Accord was signed, and this Jaffna province was treated as a special province by the Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan government has treated this province as an autonomous special province and appointed one chief minister. And the chief minister was not liked by these LTTE people. So LTTE people, they didn't like the chief minister appointed by the Sri Lankan government. So they withdraw from this accord. So now who are in the accord? So the accord is between the Indian government, Sri Lankan government and the LTTE and some parties. So this LTTE withdraw from this accord and the remain was India and Sri Lanka. So, and next, Sri Lanka wants Indian government to pursue to leave their weapons. So Indian government it asked the Sri Lankan government to withdraw to make the LTTE to leave their weapons. So India communicated this to LTTE, but they didn't agree. So they didn't agree to leave their weapons. So now India started to use its force. India started to use its force and it sent its army. Around nearly 1 lakh army was sent to the Sri Lanka. That is the first time Indian government is sending its official army, means after the independence, to a foreign country for fighting missions. So they reached the Sri Lanka, but they faced the tough resistance from the LTTE. So they killed many Indian soldiers. And even the native Sri Lankans also, they didn't like their land to be occupied by the Indian army. So what they did, they requested the government to send them back. But Indian government still very strongly pushing the LTTE and fighting them to disarm them. So in the course of event in the 1991, what happened? Rajiv Gandhi came to Tamil Nadu for Pracharam, the election campaign. And our Tamil LTTE fighters, they went and killed the Rajiv Gandhi. So that is one of the high profile incident happened in 1991. So now by that time onwards, the LTTE was banned as an official terror organization by the Indian government. In around 1998, after that time, so India was completely withdrawn from this Sri Lanka and LTTE conflict. So the reason they created the major vacuum. Sri Lanka used to continuously ask India for the weapon support. So to fight an internal war with a large scale LTTE kind of militia, it needed strong weapon support. But India didn't give that support because it will anger our Tamil brothers. So what the Pakistan did, it was requested Sri Lanka requested the Pakistan to fill the gap, and Pakistan filled the gap. So that's why they have very strong relation with the Pakistan also. And in the 2008, I guess 2008 or 2008 or 10, so the Prabhakaran and these LTTE became weak, and he was killed by Sri Lankan army. And now, so what is the strategic benefits India get from the Sri Lanka by maintaining the relations with the Sri Lanka? So now you can just imagine, like Sri Lanka is a very important strategic location. From that time, like you can imagine what kind of benefits India will get. Trade relations is one. Trade relations is one, but you know what is the population size of the Sri Lanka is 1.5 crore. Complete control of Indian Ocean. Just imagine this, the region. It was completely dominated by the India, and this is the only ocean in the world which is named by a country, that is Indian Ocean. So the strategically for India to control this ocean is very important. But the Sri Lanka is in very strategic location. To keep the Sri Lanka on its side is very important. So that's why it is using its soft powers. Soft powers like cultural relations, religious relations, those kind of soft powers it is using. But also it is also one of the very important in the case of for China also. China has one policy called the BRI. What is that BRI? Belt and Road Initiative. You heard the name Silk Road? What does it? What is the Silk Road? Huh?
From China to Pakistan. It's an ancient route, sir. It's transport.
China with Europe. So there is one place called Xi'an, one of the important city here, and it will connect directly to the So here, so it connects the Europe all the way from here. It is started from the BC, before Christ, like it was around 3000 years old around. Genghis Khan is very new compared to that. He was in the 14th, 13th century, like. But the Silk Route is much older, even before the. So why Hinduism spread throughout the Asia? If you take Korea, Japan, and like Thailand, Asian countries, why the Buddhism is dominated? This is because of the Silk Route. So the Buddhism went into the Silk Route and it got spread like a wildfire. And also the people from the China, like the travelers, Huanshan, They all come to India through this kind of Silk Route to study in India. So now China has a lot of money. So now it wants to gain the dominance throughout the world. So it is reviving this Silk Route in the name of BRI. So the depth diplomacy is from this only it is coming. So what it is doing? It is connecting the Europe and the world through the road network and the waterways. So it is constructing the ports and also roads. And if there is some, if rail networks are there, the rail networks. Among that, one network is the CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It was in the here in the Balochistan province. No, it is from here. It is going through the POK and connecting it to the CPEC. Gilgit-Baltistan, yeah. So this is India, right? So the reality is only we are here. So this part is occupied by Pakistan. So the CPEC is going through the Pakistan and connecting the around here that route is going on. So for that, how the Pakistan is important for the land route connection, Sri Lanka is important for sea route connection, and it also it can also encircle India in the name of string of pearls. Sri Lanka, one pearl, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Maldives. So they encircle the India. So in the future, if India want to fight with China, so these are where the Chinese naval forces or the naval bases are already present in these places. So that's why one of the reasons India joined a important alliance or what that is called Quad. The Quad, India joined, its prime objective of joining the Quad is to contain the China. And the prime objective of joining the BRICS is to contain the West. So India don't want the West to have more hegemony on the world. So it wants the South-South cooperation. So if you take the BRICS, all the countries are, South means the global South countries. So that is the one thing. You see the differences between the both. The BRICS objective is to form the new global South order. So it don't want the hegemony of IMF or the organizations of the global North to have more power on global South countries. So that's why they formed one bank called NDB, New Development Bank. So that the NDB will start giving the loans in the similar lines of IMF, but with the very less interest rates. So that is one thing. When it comes to the Sri Lanka relations, the trade relations is one of the important thing, and most important thing for India is the strategic relations. So India don't want Sri Lanka as a one more Ukraine, like a Russia. How the Ukraine is for Russia, India doesn't want Sri Lanka to be one more Ukraine of India. Same thing, right? You can compare why Ukraine war is happening. Because Ukraine eagerly want to join in NATO. Just imagine if Sri Lanka opened its entire bases for China, and Chinese naval bases are present in the India. How India will feel? India feel very much encircled. So that is the. We also have. Yeah, that strategy is there, but still that is not implemented. Just it's only in paper, but it is going to implement very soon. China has implementing already. It has the Hambantota port. So it gave the loan for Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka unable to pay, and they have taken for 100 years of lease. That's why money matters in the world, not just in the personal life, but also in the global relations. Okay.